Good day, my existing CloudCheckr admins, and welcome to our first CMX Cost Dashboard webinar. So, my name is Casey, and I'll be your host for today's call. And I'm joined by Jason Thompson, who is going to be my co host, mediator, administrator, however you like to see it. He's going to answer the questions on the chat. That being said, we're together going to be presenting CMX Cost Dashboards. And if you do have any questions, feel free to DM the chat. And before we get started, just a couple housekeeping items for today's webinar. You can unmute yourself if you do have questions. You can share a video. And also you can rename yourselves if you don't want your company name or yourself to be identified in today's session. That is all good. So today's agenda is going to be on introductions. We're going to really just introduce you to the concept of CMX cost dashboards. Now, this is a new feature only available in CMX. That being said, we will go through kind of the value of going into cost dashboards, and then we're going to demo common use cases in my application, in my particular account. Now, being that cost dashboards were released about 2 weeks ago, this should have already been seen across all of your different accounts, and it is applicable for Azure. It's going to be applicable for your AWS, and then if you do have GCP, you should be seeing that too, all together and bundled into that single cost dashboards. This is going to be first of many releases. So really, what I'll show you is what's in scope of this current release, and then I'll also show you some resources that I'm going to pass to the entire team. And then every admin user here can have additional resources, such as a introduction to CMX cost dashboard video recorded by one of our former customer success managers on CloudCheckr side. So going into today's slide, the new feature on CMX cost dashboards, really what we did and what you're seeing in production in CMX. If you're not a CMX user right now, you should be able to log in with the same password. If you're using Core, that is. But this feature is deployed. You would see fast time to insights, meaning that there are new dashboards across all the different dimensions, all focusing on cost. You have different visualization components of the cost dashboards. So you're going to be able to manage your business and your roles in a cost perspective. It is scoped to cost right now. And then you do have the ability to have greater collaboration when it comes to these cost dashboards. What this means is that currently, if you have an admin, if you're an admin, you can create and deploy multiple panes on the page, and those are going to be shared across every single payer account, payee account that you have. So if you have 5 panes created, what you're going to see is 5 panes across all accounts, unless your customer, if you're an MSP or enterprise, has different permissions, and then that will, of course, curate down the visibility to what they will see. Any questions so far? I don't see anything in the chat, but all right. So really, let me get into the demo today, and I'm going to jump right into the demo. So before I get into the demo, I wanted to drop this link to everybody here. And this link is this for all accounts. Chris is asking if this is for all accounts. So if you're in CMX, it is across all accounts that CMX cost dashboards are available. So that will be inclusive of your payee, payer accounts, subscriptions. The only exception is if you have any international dollars. So if it's not USD on Azure side, it's not going to be displayed in this current phase. It is going to be rolled out. But that is why everyone here is an admin. So I'm telling you what you won't see is if it's like in New Zealand dollar, the dashboards won't function. Their default is going to be Azure USD dollar based. But going back into this introduction video here. So this is going to be used. The link is there. You can use this for internal purposes. Obviously, this is introducing our cost dashboards. We trust every admin user that you're not going to be giving this out to our competitors. So that being said, this can be used internally to distribute to users that didn't attend today's training. It gives you a high level overview. It's a 4-minute video capturing everything that is currently available in the CMx dashboard release. So that is one resource that's available. Another resource that you can leverage is going to be the guided. That's the green icon here. This is just giving you this the tutorial of the actual experience. So if you actually go through the tutorial, you can use it, leverage it. It'll give you details on how to create, going through the process of identifying all the configuration components in the different panes. This is another guided experience on introducing you to the new dashboard features. And then I am going to actually X out of this guide and just walk you through what you see currently. So I am in CloudCheckr's test pair. What you see are a number of different panes. Some are 6 months, some are stacked, and then some are last 30 days, view by weeks. All of this is going to be shown here. I actually created specifically for today's demo some common use cases or just some common different configurations that might be available that you would want to leverage. The first thing I want to note is that naming convention is actually going to be really nice to know. So I recommend we do say the time frame underneath the title itself, but I also recommend that if you want to know quickly if this is actual cost, or for any partners out there, if you're displaying list costs, just label it for yourselves internal purposes. Obviously, if you're in the you're at the point where your customers are seeing this, you can always remove list price and then just identify actual cost, because they're going to see it anyway through the permissions. So first use case that I wanted to display was a stack chart. We're seeing every last 6 months by account, and this is a stack chart. So currently what's going to be available is a stack chart, or it's just going to be a standard bar chart, which just shows you an aggregate view instead of a stacked version. Those are the two that are available in the panes to select from. So the first use case I want to describe is the last 6 months by account stacked. It's showing you our last 6 months. Anything that is greater than a category is labeled other. Otherwise, you can define how many categories are displayed. So if you have 100 accounts, we obviously want you to make use of the view or the visualization component. So we're going to lump everything else, if you had 100 accounts, in other. Same type of logic will apply to different categories of cost. So in my next example, I created a category, in this case for the last 30 days, and I broke that out by weeks. So it's just giving you the different categories of consumption. In this case, also list cost is being displayed, and then you can see there's an other category. Another example I have here, which, it's just off of different utilizations, but I did a location, so by region for actual cost. And so then this is just giving you cost by region. And the last one I have is all the locations on the x-axis, followed by different components of utilization. So you can see these regions in our account have the most spend in these examples. Couple things to note with my existing panes before I actually create another one on the fly with everybody here is that you do have a timestamp of when we last updated this. Basically, CloudCheckr will cache your data, so you'll have it in cache, and then it'll be when new data is available, we will give you the opportunity to either use the existing timestamp or just click to update. And immediately, if there's a new timestamp and there's an update available function, it should push right there into the display, as you can see there. With that, export features. Currently, you can export the graph itself in a PNG, or you can export the data to a CSV. So you don't actually have to go into other reports if you wanted to leverage the cost data here. And the export CSV function is going to be a direct pull of the output that's in the graph here. All right. Any questions from the teams, the different teams and users on the different use cases that I have shown so far? I am going to create a couple new panes and walk through what that looks like as well. All right. So I'm going to create a new pane on the fly here. I'm just going to call this one CS test pane. And then I am labeling this one actual cost. So as of now, all of the fields here are required minus the service category. You can filter by service category, so you can always refine by a particular consolidated services. But I'm going to name it. The current pane type is going to be cost. I would select all of the applicable providers, even if you don't have them currently. And then your different stack charts. So your chart types are going to be either bar or stack bar. You can pick different variations on your y-axis, your x-axis right here. So you can go day by week by month. You can also look at your different locations, service categories, and the actual services itself. The only available options for your y-axis are going to be actual. This is your standard or unblended cost. And then you have your list cost, which is going to be the invoice or end user customer customized pricing available for the y-axis display. With the data ranges, we have presets for common date ranges, and then you can also integrate with a custom date range. And then lastly, you can group by, and this is just the aggregate, you can go by aggregate, so just the total of all the stacked bar or bar charts, or you can actually segment this group out by account ID, service category, and the other parameters that are listed out here. Well, one thing to note is if you pick a different group by outside of aggregate, it'll give you a request to put in a category limit. This is because from a visualization standpoint, you need to define how many actual categories you want to include in the actual display of data. So we'll display 3 main categories and the 4th one will be other. I'm actually just going to do one right now for you. We'll go last 30 days. We'll group by account ID. Sure. No filters. So where does that go? It goes straight to the bottom of the panes. So currently everything is going to display on one page, but as I get down to it, there is the display. It's updated, gives us a timestamp. And as I mentioned before, you have your 3 categories and the 4th category being other. Any questions on what I covered so far? So I am in an AWS account. If you give me a second, I'm gonna pause my share, and I am actually, I'll switch into an Azure subscription just to give you the same views and a different example. So give me 1 second here.
Casey, before you jump off, can you what is the maximum limit you can have on the number of group buys?
So sorry about that. Let me resume my share. I did switch off, but maximum limit right now there is no. Are you talking about for Gordon? Are you talking about category limit or?
Yeah, the limit required that you just put on, you had 3. What if I needed 50?
You could still display. I have to double check, but you can say 50. That's fine. It's just that the report itself it's not gonna be that readable in the current format. So if you were to update and add, let's say, 50, are you talking about like 50 accounts as an example?
Exactly, yep,
So actually, there we go. The category limit has to be less than
15.
15.
Great, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, let me X out of this, leave this real fast. So I did switch it over to an EA example here. As I mentioned before, everything is going to display and render via Azure in this output. So if there's new data available, it's going to be shown here. You click on it, it will update. If there's a new day available, several days available, it will dynamically shift and update as needed. Because it's an EA, I'm just going to quickly update everything here as I go down the list. Um, this is pretty much how it will function. It will render, if applicable, whatever's been created. So in my examples, I had location, so locations being shown, and then categorizing the other. Same thing here, all of the other locations in general, and then consumption based on that. That's the same experience you get from AWS applied to Azure. So I do have a question coming in right here. So can we create these dashboards for linked accounts? And if so, which basic user access suffice? So there is a new permission set. It is going to be, and Jason, keep me honest right here. There's it's like dashboard. It's either managed dashboard is the permission set. And then anyone that has a cost view should be able to see these dashboards. If they don't have a cost permission, they will be default. The default experience will be the previous screen, which was like the new to CMX, and then the preview of a cost dashboard. So you can either uh, limit the cost view itself, and then they won't see the dashboards. So the next question from is going to be: will customer dashboards? Will custom dashboards per account be available? Yes. Right now, they're global. So as an admin, if you define 12 panes, you would see all 12 panes currently uh, applied to each and every account. That is in the next phase, and it is if you need to check with your technical account manager, you can always reach out to them for updates. You do have if you I can make my email available too, but you can always email me as well if you want to know when those releases are going to be coming out. But at this point, I will say that the next rollouts are going to come on a rolling basis, as in as it is available, it should be released. And we will try to have another session at the end of this month to see what else has come out. And then if nothing has come out, again, we're just gonna we will try to highlight and keep everyone updated when it comes to those releases. Is there a max limit on panes? So that is actually a great question for everybody here. Currently, there is no max limit on panes, but the scrolling is going to be excessive. Part of the next iteration is to limit the amount of panes in that are displayed, and then there's going to be a second and third page. So there's no limit on the amount of panes you can create. Okay, I do see another question come in. I really do appreciate all these questions. Can I create a dashboard and then assign it to a user like it is available in the pre-CMX version? That answer is no, not at this current time. So assigned dashboards are available in the legacy version of dashboards, but that is not supported at this time. And any plans to group panes? I think, I don't know how to answer that question. I don't know, Gordon, if you can explain the grouping of panes.
Yeah, so if you've got, let's say, one account that's running several services and you want to have sub panes under that one account where you can show databases, EC2, whatever services, or Azure or whatever. That's what I mean by grouping, is if you are able to extrapolate or say this is a high level and then boil down into multiple panes under a single group, kind of like a MAV,
Uh-huh.
but
So
for panes.
yeah, so we do support these dashboards in a MAV output. So I think you can extrapolate the data through the MAV. I think that's ultimately the case that the use case that you're bringing up, and you should be able to. And I'm gonna my computer is being a little slow with me right now, but if you switched into the MAV, you should be able to extrapolate the data refined to whatever the MAV is. Okay. And yeah, send me a note, Gordon. And if that doesn't work, I'll look that up for you. So John is asking, dashboards are taking a long time, emphasis on long, to build some charts for me, like they never finish. Is this a known issue? So John, I would say that there is a longer load for anyone that's initially loading in the dashboard itself. Because it's going to be cached in your system, the initial load can take several minutes, depending on the amount of data. So two options: wait for it to load, and if it doesn't load at all, please definitely report it to us. It's not the first case that we've heard of where it doesn't um, actually load. But that being said, the more cases where we can see that, please report it to support, and we will adjust. The second option for you, John, is if dashboards are taking too long, maybe the date range is set to is too far back. If you need it to immediately output, change the date range to something a little bit shorter, or the display frequency to be a little bit shorter. Otherwise, if there's any issues, yeah, feel free to open a ticket to support, reach out to your technical account manager. This is the initial release. It's only been 2 weeks since it's been deployed. So we'll take all the feedback, good or bad. All right. And then can you show me the advanced grouping screens? So advanced grouping won't be in the set of cost dashboards. We would have to explore that a little bit later. But I think the question is similar to the legacy dashboards. The pane that was available in the legacy dashboard, you can select a like advanced grouping save filter. That is not within scope of this release at this time. All right. And then yes, the question is, do these work against the multi-account views? So let me actually switch into this. Take a second here. Switch in. And yes, the answer should be yes, that they will work in the multi-account views. Yeah, this is the first time for me. This is also the first time me going into a multi-account view. But yes, these are supported fully in the multi-account views. And then there's a question about, can you explain what are the advantages, extra reports, fine tuning compared to the older version? So really what we wanted to do was bring dashboards to life in CMX. This is the reason that it's beneficial, is that legacy dashboards and panes that are found in core are not supported, or are not going to be supported going forward, in the sense of we're not fixing what we have new. So when it comes to why you come to the CMX cost dashboards, this is really gonna, one, let you click an actual report. You can get the graph itself, so the output, visual output, as well as the same data in the export functionality. So that's I would say is better. And then also we're gonna be coming from the same cost source, so we know that this is gonna be cur, or if you have DBR still cost source data, it's valid cost source. So it'll match everything that you'll find in the CMX experience. So reasons why you don't want to go to the older version is CloudCheckr. We're not going to get rid of the old CloudCheckr versions immediately. That's not the plan. The plan is to reiterate, refine everything that's in CMX currently. And then I think there's another question about selecting a filter by Azure tag. Once again, tags aren't in scope right now with the cost dashboards. We're only going down to, I believe, usage type. Let me get that, double check real fast. So yeah, we're gonna only go down to service subtype, which is like usage type. We're not gonna be grouping by tag or refined tag at this current scope. But I'm seeing a lot of good questions here. Any other questions from the group here? So I will say that in the next couple weeks, we will have a similar walkthrough slash webinar on anything that's released new or existing cost dashboards. We also have, if you have anybody that is international, there's a 7 p.m. EDT time, which is a GMT 4 plus minus 4. For anyone that is in the APAC or Asia Pacific time zone. So you can definitely send those people for later tonight's training. And please stay tuned for additional walkthroughs. Once again, as a reminder, there's an introduction video that I'm going to repaste for anyone that hasn't joined, but I'm going to repaste that right now so that you can leverage for anyone that didn't attend the overview of the CMX dashboards. And you can certainly reach out to myself. I'm gonna put my email right here, or you can reach out to Jason. Any final thanks, Jason. Any final questions, comments about where we're at right now today? Happy to answer those. Well, that was 30 minutes. Yeah, I'm gonna give you back 30 minutes of your time, and really looking forward to hearing from everyone again and connecting. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one. Jason, you want to stay on?